So yesterday I cut a silly little video on ghrelin, that hormone that's secreted from the G cells on the inside of the stomach. And it kind of got me thinking about all the other stuff that our stomach secretes. I've also just answered a video from somebody who asked about aspirin and why aspirin causes ulcers or gastritis more correctly. So I thought it'd be a good time to actually look at what your stomach secretes. There's lots and lots of cells on the inside of your stomach. And we often have a little bit of a misinterpretation on what cell does what it secretes and what those secretions are for. So first of all, stomach acid isn't used for your digestion. You don't secrete stomach acid for digestion. But let's go back a bit. The principal enzyme that you produce from the stomach lining comes from specialized cells called chief cells. And those chief cells secrete a protein dissolving precursor called pepsinogen. Now this becomes important to remember the word pepsinogen. Pepsinogen. This is dormant. It's floating around inside your stomach right now. Remember, your stomach lining secretes pepsinogen. Okay. Now, when you eat, cells that line the stomach secrete gastrin. And gastrin is secreted when your stomach now starts to stretch. So as soon as you've got some peristalsis or you've got some stomach stretch, you've started to eat something, then a substance called gastrin is secreted from your stomach lining. But it's not secreted into the bag that's got the food, the stomach itself. It's actually secreted into the bloodstream. And as it's secreted into the bloodstream, it comes back to some specialized cells in the stomach lining called parietal cells. So we've talked about chief cells make pepsinogen. Parietal cells are stimulated by gastrin when you start to eat physically. And what parietal cells do is they secrete hydrochloric acid. So they've got those two little protein pumps. You've probably heard of medications like omeprazole or pantoprazole. These medications are proton pump inhibitors. So they block these little pumps in the parietal cell, and it's these little proton pumps that make hydrochloric acid and secretes acid into the stomach, into the food mush that you've just swallowed. Right. Now that acid activates the pepsinogen, which remember is dormant, doesn't do anything until it's been activated, and it's activated by that acid. So acid is produced, stomach acid is produced, pepsinogen is then converted, because of that acidity, is converted into pepsin, and pepsin is an enzyme that breaks down protein. So a protein dissolving enzyme. Now, does it make sense that your stomach's made of protein? So you don't want to dissolve your stomach? You've just made this stomach dissolving juice, and you don't want to dissolve your stomach. So it'd be really handy if on the lining of your stomach you had some specialized cells called neck cells or mucus cells, and they produced a mucus that protected the stomach lining from the pepsin that you've just activated. So you can digest the piece of steak you just ate, but not your own stomach. Yeah? So you have a protective mucus in your stomach that protects you from the digestive enzymes that you've just activated. And this is why when you've got reflux, it comes up your esophagus. Your esophagus doesn't have that protective lining, so your esophagus gets burned. And we're going to call that GORD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. Lots of stuff from the stomach. If we keep going down the stomach and into the duodenum, that's where you secrete that GLP-1 and GIP, those incretin hormones that diabetes medication's all about these days. Anyway, that's another whole thing. So there we go. Ghrelin for hunger, pepsin to dissolve your protein. You also produce a gastric lipase from those same pepsinogen producing cells. So those chief cells also make a gastric lipase. So you're breaking down both protein with your pepsin, and lipase breaks down fat. So you're breaking down fats, turning them into tiny little globules that you later on down the GI tract are going to join with some bile and make even smaller so that you can absorb those triglycerides. But there it is. Lots of stuff from the inside of your stomach. Don't dissolve your stomach.